Okay guys, I know this is a little different from how I normally do videos. This video is actually going to be a tournament practice and then my actual tournament video. When I initially started doing all the footage, I was going to do two separate videos. So, intro here. You're going to see tournament practice. Not a lot going on in it, but there's some good stuff to pick on, a little bit of tips, a little stuff to pick up on when you guys practice for a tournament instead of burning out your fish, and just kind of how you break down a lake. And then there's going to be tournament practice afterwards. So disclaimer, you might get some boring stuff at the beginning. I'll try to keep it interesting for you. Oh, and also stick around at the end of this. We'll talk about what we did during the tournament, baits I used to catch fish. Okay guys, we're out here at the lake again. In Iowa today. It's cold, big surprise. But I'm here practicing for a tournament that I've got in about 3 weeks. I've only been to this lake one time before, and that was in the summer, and that was in a tournament too, and I did okay. But I'm just kind of checking out the water now, see how clear it is. I don't know, you may have a 1.5 feet, 2 feet of visibility, maybe. It's kind of tannic colored, looks like tea a little bit. Okay, I wanted to show you guys this neat feature that you can do on these these Lowrance units. Mine is a HCS 9 Gen 2 touch unit, so mine is old equipment at this point. But starting with these Gen 2 units, there's stuff you could do that I thought is really cool. You don't really hear people talk about it a while. You heard Lowrance talk about it when it first came out, and you don't hear guys talk about it. I don't think that many people actually use it, but I do. And I'm here looking at a lot of rock piles and stuff, and they're big rock piles. Lowrance has something they call the structure map feature. So what it is, you can see these blue lines right here. These are all my trails. You can see I marked a couple waypoints there. So as I'm scanning along, which obviously I'd be on a different screen, I'd be on one that looks like more like that. I'd have down scan on there too. But so you go to your map screen, and even if you're running your map on your along with your structure scan, all that neat stuff, it'll still show up the same. And then you go over to overlay. You go to overlay, and then you got structure, right? Now, when you click structure options, you can go to, right now this is on save, this is what I recorded. You could go to live, and then this is what I'm actually I'm not recording, but this is what it shows right now. So anyways, I recorded this. This is a rock pile that I found. We'll zoom in on it so you guys can kind of see it a little better. This is one end of it. I try to mark both ends with the waypoint to let me show it. But you can see all that rock there. And where this feature really comes in handy, as opposed to just dropping a couple waypoints and fishing it, is you can kind of find the spot on the spot. So you can see, like, here it starts to clear out. You got real chunky rock here, and here it starts to clear out. You can see it kind of makes some points. You can also see it makes a turn. It makes a little bit of a turn there, so sometimes those inside points or inside turns can be good. Each point on it could be good. On this one, I don't see it so particularly, but sometimes you notice a little isolated boulders over here, and they're in little clumps, and sometimes those are key. So you can mark those too. But anyways, really cool feature. I use it a decent amount. Sometimes it's really helped me key in on certain spots, and I really like it. So if you guys have any Lowrance units, or you're thinking about Lowrance units, you guys should pick them up. It's a pretty cool feature. Okay, I'm probably an hour and a half into the day. I actually haven't even made a single cast yet. I've just been graphing around, and there's a lot of rock piles in this lake, and like I said before, I've only been here one time before. I didn't graph anything. I didn't even go try to find rock piles last time. I just put the trolling motor down and started fishing. So today I'm just looking. There's a lot of sunken brush piles. I mean, DNR's done a lot to this lake, so I mean, there's a ton of spots to fish. I've probably found 10, 15 rock piles so far, and this is a little lake, 600-acre lake maybe, thereabouts. So it's cold, guys. I am freezing. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but there is ice on the shoreline there. That stuff hasn't melted yet. I know that just probably formed overnight. All the ponds on the drive-in were frozen. Like, I was worried I was going to get here and the lake's going to have ice on it again. So, whew, I am cold, and I did not dress warm enough again. You'd think I'd figure that out by now. So, anyways, gonna look some more, and then we'll start fishing here in a little bit. So it's looking like we've got 39.8 degree water temperature right now, and I'm sort of, probably a little over halfway back into one of these creek arms in this lake, which there's only really 2 to it anyways. It's supposed to get up to 40 something today, so I guess we'll see what happens. But what I really kind of figure more is that these fish are not going to be, they're obviously not going to be shallow, but this lake doesn't, I've seen some 30-foot depths in here, but I'd say on average deep water is probably 15 feet. There's a lot of shallow water in it. There's a lot of little flats to it, but I really kind of just wanted to get a feel for the lake, and maybe I can see where the fish are at right now, because it's going to warm up. Who knows how much, but it's going to warm up in the next 2 or 3 weeks before the tournament. So wherever the fish are right now, that's not where they're going to be come tournament day. They're going to be somewhere else, or if they are on the things that I've found, they're going to be a lot more active than they are right now. But regardless, I can at least figure out what it is that where they're at right now, and then I can make an educated guess on where they're going to go from there. So some people, they like to start deeper than, like right now they would start out on main lake points and work their way in. Whenever I've done that, I always have a habit of where I'm chasing the fish. I'm way too far behind them. So since I like to fish shallow anyways, whenever I'm looking for them, I like to start shallow. I'll go, in this case, we're pre-spawn. The fish got spawning, starting to become on their mind, so they're moving out of deep water and heading up to shallow water. So I'm starting around about where they're going to spawn. Obviously, they're not going to spawn here soon. We still got a while before that, but I'm up around some spawning flats, so I'm kind of starting there and working my way out towards the deeper points and stuff like that. Somewhere in between here and there, I ought to come into contact with some. Okay, that's a wrap for today. I did not catch a fish, got a few bites, missed a few on the Ned rig, missed a couple on the jig. It's tough. The water did actually finally warm up to 41, almost 42, up from, I want to say it's like 38.9 when I got here, so 39 even, something like that. It's cold. It's still cold. So, whatever. I would have liked to catch some fish, but like I said at the beginning of this is not wherever the fish are now, or it's really not where I expect them to be come tournament day, and even if they are, they're going to bite better than this. The water's going to be warmer. So, I will see you guys at the next tournament, or for this tournament. I'll see you guys at this tournament. pissed. Oh, broke. Okay, that is it for the day. We're gonna weigh in now. We got 3 fish. 2 of them were pretty good ones. One's a little squeaker. It was tough today. We caught 2 on a spinnerbait and 1 on, what was it on? Oh, on a crankbait. You guys will see in the video, hopefully it makes it through the editing, I broke a big one off and it broke my rod in half shortly after I set the hook. That has never happened to me before, so I'm interested to review this film, see what actually happened. So stick with us. We'll wear you guys through weigh-in and you'll get to see it all, see us weigh in these fish. What's big fish so far? It's yours. Right here? 360? Yeah, we'll want to. No, I was looking at another one. Thought we were going to get 5. How many fish? 3. 4.8. 10-10. Okay, so that was the tournament. This is actually the next day now. I'm still trying to kind of process everything. You guys seen all the fish catches we had. We had 4 bites on the day total. Full tournament day, what was it, 8-hour day. We fished 7 to 3. So 4 bites the whole day. And you guys seen one of those bites, the only one I didn't boat, ended up in this broken rod right here. Guys, that's never happened to me before. Like, I've broke rods by trying to lift a fish in the boat or something, or doing something stupid, but I've never broke a rod. Just set the hook, get 2 good hook head shakes, and then snapped rod. It's not a fault of the rod company. This is an older rod that I've had. All my rods are Denali's. I've never had a Denali just break on me like that. What I'm pretty sure of, there's been a couple times I've seen my son stand on my rods. Some people just stand on my rods on the boat, on the deck boat on accident, and it happens. So no big deal. Try not to freak out about it. And that's why we all have a tackle fetish. We buy a bunch of rods. You don't have that problem. The baits that I use to catch them on, 2 of the fish came on a double Colorado spinnerbait, just a 1/2 ounce white and chartreuse spinnerbait, and I was throwing it out there. There's rock piles, that same ones that I found in the practice part of this video. There are rock piles out there, these man-made rock piles that they're in about 10 feet of water, and then they go in kind of rows, and on the top of them they come up to about 6 feet. So I throw it out to the other side of the rock piles, let it hit the bottom, and then I'm just slow rolling it back as slow as I can move that reel, and that's a 6.5 to 1. So you really have to it's a grind going really slow and letting it just kind of come over those rocks. And that was the first the biggest one I caught, which was big bass for the day at 4.8 pounds. The very first cast when I flung that spinnerbait out there, brought it over those rocks, it just loaded up on it.
It wasn't just a huge crush, even though the fish had it really well. It wasn't just a big smoke. It just popped over the rock. I think it surprised the fish, and she got it. Same thing on the first bite with the crankbait. It popped off and got her. The other fish, the crankbait that I used was that Skirmish Baits A10 A1. Was on a Chris's Red Carl. Same thing, bringing it over a rock, and then just surprised it. The fish, to me, they were not biting, and you could tell by the rest of the field of the 18 boats in the tournament. I think only 5 or 6 brought fish to the scales. Only one team, the team that won, brought in a limit, and they only had 12 pounds for 5 fish. We had 3 fish for 10.1 or something like that. So we had a good bag. We just couldn't fill out a limit. This is a small lake that's maybe they're 500 acres plus or minus maybe 100 acres. It's not very big. Everybody knows this lake better than I do. There's only so many rock piles on it, and that's what everybody's kind of hitting. It was like musical rock piles the whole day. So you would have to, you couldn't just throw a jig at the rock piles, because they're seeing a ton of jigs. They're seeing a ton of Ned rigs. They're seeing a ton of jerk baits. You know, where I can see what a lot of people are basically doing. I can see a lot of people using a jerk bait. They don't want to come up for a jerk bait. You couldn't just throw a jig in there and let that soak. Everyone's throwing a jig. So the fish in this lake, they eat bluegills and crappie, so you had to try to mimic that, but make it a reaction strike, but also use it in a way that they didn't see it. They wouldn't see it. So I didn't see anybody slow roll a spinnerbait. The bite that I had that I broke the rod on, that was the very first cast when I picked up a swim jig and put a Gambler Gambler Easy Swimmer swim bait on the back of it to make it imitate a bluegill, and I tossed it out there and I slow rolled it the exact same cast I caught the big one on the spinnerbait. I made the exact same cast and slow rolled it the exact same way. I probably brought it over the exact same rock for all I know, and loaded up in the exact same spot. You just had to replicate that. Sadly, I couldn't replicate it many more times. But again, nobody else is swimming a jig like that. It looks like what they're eating, but it doesn't look like every lure that's going by. So that's about all I got for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Going to try to have more and more. I'm hoping to fish another tournament up in Iowa again here in the next couple weeks. It's my favorite lake. You guys have seen me fish it. It's going to be on Okoboji. It might be frozen right now, so maybe I'm not fishing it. We'll see. But wish me luck. Have another good video out there, and until then, I'll see you guys on the water.